Greetings, Rabbi Aaron Boxt here once again for my podcast of the week. I want to talk today about something that is on my mind every year around this time, as I'm sure it's on many people's minds this year, this time of year, and that is the holiday slash Christmas slash Hanukkah slash Kwanzaa slash winter solstice slash any other number of things dilemma. And what I mean by this is, growing up as a Jewish kid in South Carolina, going to UGA, spending the majority of my life living in the South, with the exception of maybe 7 or 8 years of my life. I have learned that when somebody says Merry Christmas to me, that they are not trying to suggest that everyone should be Christian and that everyone should celebrate Christmas. Are there people out there that think that way? Of course there are. Just like there are people out there who, when they say happy holidays, are trying to be manipulative or trying to be the exact opposite of what they want to be. Truth be told, if somebody says Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Ramadan during the month of Ramadan, if somebody says Happy Hanukkah, all of these things are really meant to suggest or imply that you want someone to have a happy time, a happy life, a good moment in their life. And yes, I do believe that there are people out there who have this as their sole intention. They're very single-minded. They want everyone to be the same. They want everyone to recognize this, and whatever this is at that moment. But I don't believe, actually, forget that. I believe that the very high majority of people in this world are not like that. That when they say Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah or any of the other cordial greetings that they will give to you, that they really are trying to be nice. And really, that's ultimately what I believe the end goal should be. Everyone is to be nice. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. When I go into a grocery store and I see the Salvation Army people with the bell, with their collecting Christmas donations for charity, oftentimes I would say most of the time, I walk right by them. But not because they're ringing a bell or because the person ringing the bell is dressed as Santa Claus or anything like that. It's because I don't necessarily agree with all of the ideology of the Salvation Army. Yes, the Salvation Army does great things in our country, but they also have some ideology that I have difficulty with. So 99% of the time, I don't give donations to the Salvation Army. Rather, I give the donations to an organization that I feel is more serving of all of our community, not just a particular part of our community. But that's my choice. And if somebody chooses to give a donation to the Salvation Army, I'm certainly not going to ridicule them or give them a hard time. If they came to me and asked me why I don't give to the Salvation Army, I would share with them. Here's where I do give, and here are my reasonings for not giving to X, Y, or Z donation. But there are plenty of organizations out there that, first of all, there are always way too many organizations that need support. And what I mean by that is, I really hope that we can one day get to a world where there's not a need for these organizations, but that's not where we are. And there are many organizations out there that are really, really, really good and really, really, really honest, and the ideology behind their company, their organization, is one that I can stick by. When I lived in Knoxville, I'm not going to tell you the name because it's unimportant, but there was one particular organization that my community would give to clothing wise, and I found a different organization because I learned that the organization that they were giving to and had been giving to for years was an organization that had given money to and other kinds of donations to anti-LGBT communities organizations. And because the ideology doesn't fit with me, I chose to give donations elsewhere, and I convinced the committee that was responsible for donating to that organization to give to a different organization, and I helped them find one, and we found one. Now it's quite possible that there are still people who give to that organization, and that's fine. Everyone can choose to give where they want, and honestly, as long as the organization is helping people who are in need, that's great. But getting back to the whole statement about Happy Hanukkah or Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas or whatever, it's about wishing people good tidings. It's about wishing people happiness and peace. Now, the community that I live in was hosting a holiday party. And there are Jewish people that live in my community, not just my family. And the community party was being billed as a holiday party with a Christmas tree lighting and hot chocolate and crafts. That was it. And members of my community who are Jewish had said, can we have a menorah as part of the decorations? And the response was not a response that I agreed with or that I thought was an accurate response. And at the end of the day, we were able to get a menorah as part of the celebration. And it's a beautiful menorah. And we're very, very, myself and other members of my community who are Jewish, we're very thankful that this was done. But my number one thing was, look, if you want to have a Christmas tree lighting and a Santa Claus, and you want to have Santa Claus and have the kids sit on Santa Claus's lap and tell Santa Claus what they want for Christmas, that's great. But call it a Christmas party. Don't call it a holiday party because you're only celebrating one holiday. It's all about being inclusive. It's all about teaching everybody that we're all equal, that we're all have the same rights and abilities to celebrate as we would like. I often talk about the fact that growing up as a kid in the South, my mom was a Jew by choice. My mom's whole family are all Christians. My uncle Paul was a Methodist minister for many, many years until he passed away. My cousin Katie and her husband are both Presbyterian ministers. My Nana was Presbyterian, and so on and so forth. And we never felt uncomfortable. We opened up blue and white stockings for Hanukkah. We had Hanukkah presents underneath my Nana's Christmas tree. We were never made to feel uncomfortable. And because of that, I'm so enamored with the idea of being in an interfaith environment because we have so much more in common. And that's what we should dwell on. That doesn't mean we ignore our differences. No, of course not. We need to celebrate our differences, but also we need to dwell on what we have in common. And ultimately, at the end of the day, and you've heard this in many of my podcasts, this is nothing new. The idea of ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself, that really is the honest to God basis for all of this. Pretty much the majority of my podcasts that can be linked to this one very idea, one very basic idea, which is love your neighbor as you love yourself. And everything else stems from that. So whether you're wishing somebody Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, Happy Winter Solstice, whether you're inviting someone to a holiday party or a Christmas tree lighting party, whatever, as long as we continue to understand that not everybody is the same, and we invite people to celebrate their differences together, as well as celebrating what we have in common, that's it. That's the end of it. That's the crux, the beginning, and the end, if you will. I wish you all a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Winter Solstice, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, and all of the above. I will be back next week with another podcast. See you then.